All right, we talked about demo a little bit. There certainly are some other things. You know, you can throw a cutting wheel in your grinder. Occasionally, when I need to cut through some metal that I might find, or where is that other little guy here I was looking for? Here he is. I have a whole video on this little. It's another grinder, rather than axial. Or rather than holding him in this orientation, I find that I end up holding this grinder, and you know the body is so large, and you get used to this here, and I have a fairly good sized hand, but there's just so much to the pistol grip, and the versatility. It's smaller, it's lighter. I cut the exhaust off my pickup truck with this when I needed to. It's got a little dust collecting hood and shoe that'll run it, control it, the depth of cut and the normalcy, the angle of the blade to the surface of the material is controlled with the shoe. Unlike when you just hold it, you know, I'm free to tip it back and forth against the work surface, but with that shoe it controls that angle. But I've surgically removed panels in the wall with that on, as well as it connected to the vacuum cleaner, and I can come in and make an access hole in the wall with a piece that I take away, but then I can put right back and reuse when I close things back up and you never knew I was there. And I didn't really generate too much dust in the room because I've got the dust knockout pot hooked up to the vacuum. And or you can put a bag in the vacuum cleaner, as one of my viewers mentioned. And I'll just talk briefly too about, we're still on demo. I can't cleanly break these videos up, or I can or won't. I won't. Zip wall. I bought 2 sets of these. Oh God, this fucking exposure. You can't see a goddamn thing in here. I'm gonna turn that on. They're like an extendo pole that'll go, this 3 sections here. But I got them. You can get them for a couple different heights. Conventional, like 7 to 10 foot ceilings or whatever is what I bought. And they have a little bit of a gas shock at the top, which will let you basically run it out tight to the ceiling, but then continue to build up and preload that so it's actually got tension there. So you can install it and then move them around, but you can build a tent this way. So you install these poles all the way around the room. And the plate separates. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, it just slides over. But you trap a sheet of plastic in there. You put the plate over the top, and it has some like friction surface here, like rubber, but it's trapped the plastic right in there. So you can take that plastic sheet right up, and then you can take it laterally to the left or right until you've got it pulled tight, and then you can press that compression up in there and twist these to lock them together like any other ordinary sort of, you know, just turn, slide, and then turn to lock. And then you just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You move right along one guy and make yourself a tent of plastic to work inside of. So, and then there are stick-on zippers that you can install. You stick a zipper down 1, 2 on either side. And once they're on there, you just cut the plastic to either side, and then the zip apart, you make yourself a tent in no time flat. And so that kind of dust management is another important between the vacuum bag or a knockout for the fine dust, the plastic itself, and all the tools to sort of cut and dig and get into, expose what it is that you're going to work on. Then you have you know, various systems, plumbing and electrical. You got to have some pipe wrenches. These are designed, you notice how loose the jaw is here? That'll allow you to bite into steel pipe and get right on it. It's a circle in shape, but once the nature of the teeth of the jaw and the looseness of the jaw will actually jam over at an angle, and that's what actually will get you on to a circular item and allow it to be turned, is the looseness. You know, similar sort of concept in a crescent wrench, and certainly in a cheap, I'm so embarrassed to even have these cobalt fucking tools. I literally got these cobalt tools free with purchase of toolbox, and I just wanted a stainless steel toolbox for the look of it, so I have a cobalt toolbox. So go fuck yourself. I don't even want to. We can fight about it anywhere, anytime. But you know, the nature of these, you know, the similar kind of action here. People kind of are familiar with the dialing in of the size here, but those two jaws stay normal to one another, and you're never going to lock it down to something circular in a meaningful way and turn and get any. It doesn't matter that there's no grip on this surface. It's not happening. It's in the looseness here and the angle and shape of the teeth of these pipe wrenches. Long story short, if you're trying to turn pipe, you're going to need some wrenches, some pipe wrenches. And again, this is another item that these are probably shitty, heavy duty, made in China, superior tool, whatever. It's just iron. And I'm not a professional pipe fitter, nor am I a professional plumber. They've worked every single time I've needed them. And so they're just off the shelf at like Lowe's or something like that. But you can go and spend 3 or 4 times as much, I'm sure. Adjustable pliers. Channel locking pliers. Those are the channels. See the various channels? Each of those, you can move this, at a certain point you can move this open and closed, and you get the same sort of action and power, but a different closeness or, different distance in the jaw. So if you want to close around here, it changes what you're able to do with your hand. It keeps the amount that you're moving with your hand just about something like that each time, because that's comfortable for the hand, but it depends on how much of a bite you want to get. If you're trying to grab something large, you open them way the hell up like this. Now when I'm running these down here, again, in a way that's comfortable to my hand, we're talking about that kind of a distance out there. That's the nature of channel locks. You certainly can just open the shit out of pliers, but then the handles are so fucking far apart you can't get one hand around them. So that's what we're doing here. And oftentimes plumbing, because again, big diameters, the big nuts and stuff underneath the sink drains and things like that you want to get a hold of, or garden hose connections to washing machine, channel locking pliers. Copper cutting tool. This just rolls around. You put the copper in through here, those 2 little rollers in there, and you just thread this guy down, and it brings this little wheel closer, and you just go around and around like a can opener. You tighten it, and you go around a few more times, and you tighten it. And if you get real good, you can be tightening it and going around and tightening it and going around, and it goes, bloop, and the copper will fall right off on you. Works like a charm. Little hacksaw, hand-powered operations, real fine little nook and cranny areas. You got to reach in and do a little sawing. It takes an ordinary hacksaw blade for a full-size hacksaw, but it supports it and gives you basically better than wrapping the end of a hacksaw blade with tape. You have deflection and stuff too. So somebody cooked up this super minimal cast aluminum handle for just a regular hacksaw blade. When you need one like even better than the little power saw, this works like a charm. Then you got to have a little tinning flux. So this has got solder. Ugh, can't run this thing. This is great because there's solder dust right in there. So you brush this stuff around on your components, and as soon as they start heating, that little bit of solder dust has got so much surface area, relatively speaking, that it tins or creates a film of solder everywhere for you, and that'll promote adding solder when everything gets up to temperature. You want to add plumber's solder to solder those joints together. And you got your auto ignite map gas torch. I don't want to be fucking around with a striker and turning the gas on and striker and then running it and then turning it off and trying to forget all that. Just an auto start. Map gas is hotter than butane, and propane. So yeah, it's going to be more effectively or move quicker to heat things. W-Dizzle Fizzle is always important. A lot of times you don't have a sink, so I have heavy duty cleaning hand wipes, especially with plumbing. All the oxidation that builds up on pipes and stuff like that, a lot of times it's not sanitary with PVC or old PVC. You want to keep your hands clean, so when you're digging in your nose and your ears and your eyes, you don't give yourself the black plague. And you got to have welding compound for plastic pipe, and you got to have the primer compound for plastic pipe, which you use to clean it off first. And last, I guess, well, who knows here? I'm in such a hurry to do an effective job of talking about shit. You have Teflon dope, which is like a goo that you can brush onto threads, or you have Teflon tape, which you can wrap onto threads. Here, which you wrap up on the threads. And then when you thread things together, pipe threading, the thread is always tapered. So the more you thread it in, the tighter and tighter it gets to a point where it will not be going any farther. And you want a little film of Teflon in there, be it tape or dope, so that you really get a waterproof seal or a fluid-proof, what have you, seal. The last little thing that I have is sort of a machinist tool, but I use it a lot, is a deburring tool. So you cut a piece of pipe off, and you're trying to clean. The outside edge is easy enough to hit with a little bit of sandpaper, but that inside circle, this little guy is like a little razor blade, and he's curved. The end of him is not sharp because it's not necessary, but he freewheels all the way around, and that'll let you just go boop, and he'll float around the inside surface of an opening and just clean any of the burrs right off, and he's easy enough to keep in your bag, your tool pouch on you. So when I'm plumbing, that's something that I've got on me. And what else? Let's come back and talk about running plumbing pipes and electrical and stuff like that.